So in this bite-size agility video, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a follow-on from the previous episode where we talked about finding that perfect balance between obstacle focus and handler focus, which is obviously a really important thing for you to get right for your agility dog. So in this episode, what we're going to be doing is looking at a couple of different exercises that you can do either to strengthen up your handler focus or to strengthen up your obstacle focus, depending on what your struggles are, or even if you're just training up a young dog. These exercises are good to really get that balance right from the start. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to look at is for example, if you feel your dog has got too much obstacle focus. Okay, so if you've got a dog which tends to get a lot of eliminations on course, who tends to not follow your body movement very well, too much focus on the obstacles, so for example will ignore your turning cue to go and take a tunnel, that sort of thing. What we need to do is create more value and more understanding of following your body movements. Okay, so a couple of good little exercises that you can do. So this first one that I'm going to show you, we're not using any equipment. What we're going to use is something that your dog has got a lot of value in, whatever you choose to reward your dog with. For example, a toy, you'll see I use in this one. And all we're really teaching the dog to do is ignore the toy, follow my body movement until I tell it to go and take the toy. Okay, so this is a really good little exercise to use to create a little bit more handler focus. And then once your dog's competent with that, what you can then do is change the toy for a piece of agility equipment that your dog has lots of value in. So say for example a tunnel. If your dog would tend to ignore your turning cues to go and take a tunnel, then try doing this exact same exercise in the mouth of a tunnel and get your dog more responsive to your body movement, and then you can actually reward a dog by then allowing it to take the tunnel if it follows your body movement. Okay, so that's a couple of good exercises there just to create a little bit more handler focus, a little bit more response to your body movements. Now if you feel that the dog is too focused on the handler when you're running courses, okay, so if you feel that you get a lot of refusals because the dog is too responsive to your body movement and doesn't have enough value or drive onto the equipment, then what we're going to look at, I think the most important thing to look at is the position of your reward. Okay, so one of the most common things I see when I'm teaching is people are always rewarding with either a toy or food from their hand. Okay, and for me that creates too much focus on the handler. Okay, if you've got your reward in your hand, then why would your dog want to run 20 meters away from you to go down a line of jumps, for example? Okay, so for me, when I'm training, I always use either a dead toy on the ground or a very carefully thrown toy. The timing of the thrown toy has to be very careful. Okay, what we're looking for is to maintain forward focus on towards the obstacles. We're looking to maintain that direction that we want the dog to go in. So making sure that the toy is thrown in time, that the dog doesn't have to look back towards me to see where its toy is. So it's about getting the actual timing of reward is really important on that. But use of a dead toy, massively important. So you'll see in this next clip, if I'm wanting the dog to drive ahead of me and create lots of value in moving ahead of me and taking the obstacles at full speed, use of a dead toy here or a reward on the ground, a static reward on the ground is really useful. So if you try that exercise and your dog still isn't driving forward or your dog still has too much focus on you, then what I would look at is actually changing what it is you're actually using to reward the dog. Obviously the dog doesn't have enough value in it. There's more value in you than there is in the reward. Okay, so you need to maybe look at changing the type of reward, creating more value in the reward in order to create that drive forward. So if you're using a throwing toy, like I was talking about earlier, the timing of that throw has to be really careful as well, so that you're not encouraging the dog to look back at you to see where the toy's been thrown from. Okay, so trying to maintain that forward focus, that obstacle focus, and actually rewarding that with the carefully timed throwing of the toy, which you'll see in this next clip. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a few ideas of how to sort of redress the balance between obstacle focus and handler focus. And again, even if you are training up a young dog, these sorts of exercises are really good to make sure you get that balance correct right from the start. Now, we've got a new online course just about to start in a couple of weeks, which is all about flat work foundations, which is teaching our dogs to have lots of value in following our body movements, and we're going to create lots of understanding in all the physical cues that you're going to be giving your dog when you come to run agility. So this is a really good course to actually teach these foundations right from the start. You don't actually need any agility equipment for this course. It's just all flat work stuff to get the dog super responsive to your body movements and understand what we expect from the dog when we move in certain ways or when we cue certain things. So that online course is going to start soon, and it all kind of relates to what we're talking about here. So again, if anybody's interested in that, just feel free to get in touch with us and we can get you signed up. Okay, so thanks for joining us on this episode of Bitesize Agility, and we shall see you next time.